Hey guys, it's Mitch here. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I wanted to post a quick video about how to get your Epiphyllum Orchid Cactus to bloom. This is the #1 question I get asked via my YouTube channel and also people who message me via Instagram from my YouTube channel. How do I get this thing to bloom? This is mainly in response to two videos, one where I showed this plant last summer when it was in full bloom, and also some pictures that I posted at the end of my How to Propagate Epiphyllum Orchid Cactus video. If you haven't seen those videos, I'll link them down below so you can check them out if you're interested. But anyway, how do I get this thing to bloom? There's 3 things that I do to make sure that my Epiphyllum Orchid Cactus blooms. It blooms twice a year for me, and I do these things to make it happen every year. #1, make sure your cactus gets enough water. I know this thing is called a cactus, but it's not. It's a rainforest plant. It grows in trees and rocks, and it gets lots of water and lots of moisture. If you watched my How to Propagate video, you can literally stick these growths, cut them and stick them in water and it'll root. That's how happy they are in water. And the first couple of years I didn't grow it wet enough. I literally grew it really dry and my growths were really small, and anytime it did develop a bud, it didn't come and form all the way because I kept it too dry. I kept dropping the buds. And my friend who gave me the original cutting told me about how she waters her plant, and I kind of do the same thing now. What she does is she waters it till there's water in the saucer down below, and she lets it sit in that water. And then when the saucer's dry and she notices it's getting a little bit dry, she waters it the same way again and again and again. So I do that too. I grow mine outside, so in the summer I let the water pour out of the saucer, but I make sure this thing is soaked. So that's the #1 thing. Make sure you're giving your plant lots and lots of water. #2, make sure you're giving your plant lots and lots of light. I grow this kind of in a bright window in the winter. It gets a little bit of sun, but we get really gray, kind of dark winters here on the West Coast, so it doesn't get the best light in the winter. But in the summer, what I do is I put it outside in a spot where it gets about 3 to 4 hours of bright, direct sunshine every day. I know the leaves look a little bit weathered. Some of these are a little bit old, a couple of years old, and they're outside. They get rained on. They've been cold, so they do look a little bit meh, but these are the nice new green ones that come out every spring, summer. You can see the new ones coming here, nice green ones. And so they come and they weather, but they grow in nice and strong. So make sure you put your cactus in a window where it gets some nice sunshine, at least for an hour or 2 at the very least. But it'll grow in shade, but it'll bloom better if you give it not lots of light. I tend to err on the max. It'll tolerate and it puts on lots of blooms for me. The third and most important thing I find is you need to give this plant a seasonal change in temperature. What does that mean? Well, you need to give it a period where it gets cold nights and warm days. Typically, that's kind of the temperatures you see in the spring and fall. So what I do, where I live on the West Coast, when the frost risk is past, at the end of March usually, I stick this plant outside on my patio. It still gets down to almost 0, and that's okay. What it does is it acclimates this plant so it gets those cool nights, and then as the days get longer, the sun comes out for more, it gets warm days. And I put this out at the end of March this year. We're now at the beginning of June, and you can see all the new flower buds forming all along the edges of the leaves. And that's what happens for me in the spring and in the fall, from the cool nights and warm days. Can you replicate this at home? Well, if you don't have a patio and you can't stick your plant outside, just put it by a cold window, or even better, leave that window open overnight and then just close it in the morning, and that'll give it that rhythm, cold nights, warm days, and it'll trigger some nice flower buds for you. Or else you can just turn the heat off in a cool room and let the room get really cold overnight and then let it warm up in the day. My friend grows her plant on a sun porch that's unheated that's enclosed. It gets quite cold there in the winter, but then in the spring, because it's a southern facing windows in there, it really warms up in the day. So you get that rhythm, cold nights, warm days. Actually, this year, this plant even formed a fruit that didn't fall off. It sometimes forms a little fruit for me, and then it falls off early, but this year it's managed to stay on. I was thinking of picking it off in the next couple of weeks and seeing if there's any seeds in there and maybe trying to grow them and see what happens. Anyway, guys, that's it. That's all I do. Just make sure it gets enough water, make sure it gets enough light, and then make sure it gets a period where it gets cold nights and warm days. Usually that'll be in the spring and the fall. And I'm pretty sure that within your first season, if you do those things, you will get blooms. I've had lots of people message me with their beautiful flowers after they followed my tips and tricks and got their Epiphyllum cacti to bloom. Please send me your pictures if you do manage to get yours to bloom. I love watching other people's successes, so I'd be happy to look at your pictures and cheer you on. Anyway, that's it. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to message me. I'm always happy to talk plants via my YouTube and Instagram. And if you have any questions or comments, send them my way, and thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.